And welcome. So I think I have not met majority of you. So just a quick round of introduction, what you do and which department you do and what you belong to. And so we can start from there. So I think we met, both of you have met from, yeah.
Ramsky, and I'm working here as a digital marketing.
Okay.
I'm taking care of sir, I'm Shreya is well in the digital. I am into content strategy.
Hello, sir. My name is Rahul. I am into sales and sales executive.
Hello, sir. My name is Sarah. Working as a sales.
Sales manager. Okay, good. So I will not go by absolutely by the book. We are here to understand the basics of what is happening in the market, what is happening in the current technology and the cybersecurity space, and there are multiple words being used, multiple jargons being used nowadays. Say for example, risk management. So people have added the word technology to that. Now what has happened is that until the 90s and the earlier part of 2000 up to 2012, 13 or maybe 14, data was isolated. And it was only limited to a certain set of individuals, maybe data managers, SQL administrators, if you've heard of this word, database administrator, what we call a DBA, or a storage manager. We used to have those big data centers where servers were there and storage was kept. 2016-17 onwards, slowly, with the advent of cloud and with the advent of SharePoint for Microsoft and with the advent of OneDrive, things started splitting up into various aspects. So now what has happened is that owing to that, the market has opened up for security, and there are things like data breaches, unauthorized access, and malware, that means antivirus or virus, and weak encryption. So I will just take this up one by one, but first we have to understand the basics. There are 5 pillars to any technology risk or any risk that is there in our system. The first one is the protection. Protection means proactively we do something. I don't wait for something to happen. Second is, of course, reduce. That instead of waiting for something to happen and then acting on it, I start reducing my probability of something going wrong. What we do in our daily lives also, like avoiding traffic or avoiding conflicts. Third is that we ensure that regulatory and standard compliance is there. Now with every country, I have been to about 15, 16 countries, every country has their own requirements. Like in India, Reserve Bank of India has their own requirements for granting a license to a lender. IRDAI, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India. IRDAI has a regulation why they will grant a license to any insurer. Similarly, there is Department of Telecom, which gives licenses to Airtel and Vodafone and Idea and all those things. So we have regulatory part is very, very important, and regulatory compliance is a very, very big business nowadays. Then, of course, the support part. We secure, we innovate. The supporting factors are there, and managing third parties. You see, it's a highly outsourced world. If you go to a big company, any big company, if you go like Bank of America, Citibank, LIC, they don't do anything apart from their core business. They only do their core business. Rest is all outsourced. Their IT is outsourced. Their HR is outsourced. Their payroll is outsourced. Even their digital and social media is outsourced. There are agencies which do that on their behalf. So you would typically see that what the initial stage of the business is that if I am an insurer, let me only sell insurance. That's all. Insurance documentation will be done by a third-party administrator, what is called a TPA. Insurance disbursement will be done by the bank, and insurance verification will be done by the insurance verification agency, and doctor will verify the documents to disburse the insurance finally. So that's why you see third party is becoming a very important aspect, and a lot of third parties are getting certified from the technology standpoint. So now if I come to key technology categories, that is ISO 27001, that is the Information Security Management Systems, 22301, that is Business Continuity Management Systems, 27701, that is Privacy Management Systems, 31000, that is purely risk management. There is ISO 31000, which only talks about risk management. And then there is the global standard like GDPR, which is into data protection. And then there are standards like PCI, the payment card industry standard, PCI DSS, and then there is SOC 2, Service and Organization Controls. These 7-8 standards are almost 90% covering the entire fraternity of technology. They are covering almost 90%. Only very specified standards, maybe like AIMS, Artificial Intelligence Management Systems, are covering the rest 10%. 90% has been covered by the standards. And these are the most selling standards from the technology standpoint, from consulting, from auditing, from training. Now, if we talk about, say, something like what are the controls? Anything which has a risk has to have a control. So when you are going to go ahead and market your product into a system, that the social marketing or the media that you are using to market your product, or the content you are designing to your website for SIS. After risk comes a control. What is it in for me? I know a risk. What people do is, what I talk in my language is common sense codified. This is common sense that there is risk. Everybody knows about risk and everybody talks about risk. Starting from the big four, that is the consulting companies like EY, KPMG, Deloitte and PwC and all those, they will talk about risk. You will see so many articles on risk on Google. You will see so many things on Google about risk. People, what they don't talk about is, what is the control behind that? How do I control it? What I tell in my trainings is the newsroom speaking. What is newsroom speaking? They only talk about trouble. They only talk about problems. The newsroom speaking doesn't talk about solutions. So what happens is, when we talk about these key technology risks that are there, I want my mouse. Okay. We talk about controls. Now what is happening is, if I divide the entire technology into 3-4 different areas. The first one is infrastructure. That is router, switches, firewalls, very common words. I'm not getting into what a router does, what a switch does, what a firewall does. Then the second part is the network. How the network is mapped. I mean, how do they talk to each other? How would a router talk to a firewall? How will a firewall talk to a switch? And finally, we use our laptops logging into Wi-Fi and network devices. The second category is cloud, which is a very, very vast field in itself. There are 3 top players of cloud: AWS, that is Amazon Web Services, GCP, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure. There are 3 key players which hold about 95% of the entire market. Cloud is nothing but still hardware, but stored in a very remote location. Like typically, if you go to Mumbai, from Mumbai there is a place called Panvel. If you go to Panvel, there is a 23-storied building which AWS has hired, which can store data 8 times of the requirement of the earth as of now. And that is a backup place. They have similar data centers in Brazil, Argentina, Peru, Venezuela, Mexico, US, Panama, Kenya, Nigeria, Ethiopia. These data centers, that's why you see we are seamless. If you access Amazon from anywhere, it's seamless. You don't feel the lag because it hits the nearest data center and gets data for you. Data is being constantly replicated. That's why they claim that they are 100% redundant. Even if earthquake flattens one country, Amazon will not stop. GCP will not stop. For that, of course, they charge a price. They have a very high price for that. Nothing. I am just ensuring that. Okay. Now, based on these technologies, there are security issues. Why? Because everything is on cloud. And who owns the cloud? The respective companies own the cloud. And my data is in the cloud. And it is in a shared model. I don't own that data. Cloud is what? Basically, it's an apartment building in which I share 2 terabytes. Somebody is sharing 8 terabytes. Somebody is sharing 25 terabytes. Somebody is having 100 petabytes. Depending on their requirement, they buy the subscription from these respective cloud companies. That's why whenever we talk about something like SDLC, software development lifecycle, all softwares are now developed on cloud. Nobody uses local machines to develop a software. Those days are gone in 80s and 90s and 20s. So what will happen is, we would have to understand the secure development lifecycle. How do I securely develop a lifecycle product? Any product I'm developing, I may be developing an app for my watch, or maybe for Android mobile, I am developing an app, or I'm developing an application as big as Oracle or SAP. Everybody is now using distributed architecture. Not one person is doing everything. So somebody is coding, somebody is testing, somebody is approving, reviewing, and somebody is deploying. But all of them together are integrated on the cloud. So in 27001, we have the IS 27001, we have controls. Now, how those controls are structured, I will just take you through them one by one. These are the basic controls of 27001. First category is organizational control. That is the control which has to be mandatorily across the organization present. Basic bread and butter stuff. Like you have to have an information security policy. You have to have a roles and responsibility, who will do what. Segregation of duties. A maker cannot be a checker. If I want to get a change done on my laptop, I cannot go ahead and be the change manager as well as implement the change. A maker and a checker has to be different. Segregation of duties. Like what happens if you go to a bank, there is somebody who signs a check and the cashier disperses the cash. That same guy does not do 2 things. Then there is risk management, what I just told. Risk is what? It is nothing but an effect of uncertainty on my objectives. Whatever my objective is to run business, it is the risk is the effect of uncertainty. Uncertainty will always be there. We can only reduce uncertainty. We can prevent incidents from happening. Then there is supplier security, what is called as third party. We can take a next door example, Suzuki. Suzuki Motor Corporation, I have audited their plants in India and Japan, and they have about 3,000 suppliers, and they are highly outsourced. I mean, they are just barely making the engine, that's it. Rest everything is, and even in the engine, lot of parts are outsourced. They are basically nothing but integrators of the car. They integrate the car together. If you go to their Manesar plant, Tapukera plant, Mehsana plant, Gurgaon plant, and to their, like I have been to their plant in Tokyo, Fukuoka, and Hiroshima. 3 more cities in Japan, they have plants. And so they're the most important person in the system is the supplier security guy, or for that matter, the supplier information security manager. Because that is the guy who is ensuring that my product, my models, my original drawings do not go out in the market. Because it takes years to develop a car. Then comes incident management. Something happens. How do I manage the incident? How do I go ahead and ensure that the incident is taken care of in a manner in which the incident does not impact me in an adverse manner? जो होना था वो हो गया, that is done. How do I ensure that I do not go ahead and create a scenario in which I am not able to handle the aftermath of the incident? In India, you see, in normal circumstances, whenever there is a natural disaster, lately last 10-8 years, we have become proactive. I have seen a lot of places where if the rain is predicted, then the traffic police comes out before the rain to ensure that the traffic flows smoother. Now we are becoming proactive. Earlier it used to be reactive. There is a cloudburst about to happen in Himachal. After the cloudburst has happened, after 3 days, the chief minister will come with a helicopter and see what is happening. Now things are changing. So incident management means how do I manage an incident proactively? If something has gone wrong, how do I minimize the damage? And then comes business continuity. How do I continue business in case of a disaster? The biggest example is COVID. That none of us in the entire world, full of technology people, full of people with big consulting companies like McKinsey and Boston Consulting Group, nobody could predict that the world can stop. Everybody thought that a city can stop. Maximum हैदराबाद में फ्लड्स आ जाएंगे, चेन्नई में फ्लड्स आ जाएंगे. सबने क्या सिनेरियो बिल्ड किए थे? ये सिनेरियो बिल्ड किया था. दिल्ली में फ्लड्स आ जाएंगे. And everybody was happy that yes, we are able to test our BCP, business continuity plan. If Delhi is down, I will work from Amritsar. Amritsar is down, I can work from Hyderabad. But what if a scenario like COVID happens, where everything is down? That is the place where business continuity became an important part, and it is part of the organization control now. After 2023, the new standard. And of course, what I just told, compliance with legal and regulatory requirements. We have to go ahead and ensure that we have to be compliant to the law of the land, Companies Act, GST, Fire NOC, Building Safety Certificate, Occupational Health and Safety Certificate, and all those kind of things. Then we come to people controls. 27001 has about 6-7 key people controls. Very basic, say background check, training and terms and conditions of employment. Normally you see a letter which has terms and conditions of employment, that under what circumstances you will be working, what will be the holidays, what will be the confidentiality clause in your agreement, what is non-disclosure agreement, and then disciplinary action policy. In case if you leak the information of the organization and it is proven that you have leaked it, what is the disciplinary action taken against you? And your roles and responsibilities remain even after change of employment. Here, now there is a new way people are doing, specifically in technology-driven companies. For example, a company which is making AI code, which is writing code for artificial intelligence, like ChatGPT or like Gemini for Microsoft or Google and all those things. Their employees are given garden leaves. If you resign from one company, you will join the other company after 3 months. Then both the companies will share the salary. So that what he has learned here, he forgets in 3 months. That is the latest way of giving resignations in these companies like Google and Apple. Their R&D and design engineers are given free leaves. They are to resigning, fair enough, you resign, but for 6 months, we will pay your salary, you don't join Google. You join Google after 6 months. Till the time, they would have changed their environment. So, your responsibility after termination or change of employment still remains, because something that is called as ghost knowledge. What is ghost knowledge? Ghost knowledge is जो मेरे दिमाग में है पर मैं document नहीं करता हूँ. We had a call today in the morning for SOC 2. I came extempore. I was not looking at my laptop. I was just speaking out my brain. That is called ghost knowledge. And that is the most dangerous part in any technology company. What I have learned and what I have absorbed, but I have not documented. And I take away that when I resign. And that is what the value of a man doing his job is. That's why what happened is, once a person from Oracle had a very big bug. So they called an ex-employee. He was about 62 years old. He had left Oracle. He retired after 60 in a lot of companies. But they called him and they gave a business class ticket to him that please fly to Oracle headquarters in some place, US, and fix this bug for us. He took 20 minutes to fix this bug. And he told, what are the charges we should pay you? He told $20 million. But he told that you just took 20 minutes. Bola, you owe it to my experience. not to the time. It is that 40 years of experience that I had in Google, Oracle, that I was supposed to do it in 20 minutes, and not from the fact that it took only 20 minutes. So that is the ghost knowledge of a person. Then we look at physical controls. Now what has happened is slowly and slowly, what is happening is a lot of co-working spaces, shared spaces, like this is a shared building. A lot of places people have access till the last mile. Last mile means till the front of my office. There is nobody stopping anybody from reaching. So the standard talks about perimeter security. Well, how is my perimeter? Like I went to audit one of the refineries in Bhatinda, Hindustan Mittal Energy Limited, HMEL. It's a tie-up between Lakshmi Nivas Mittal back in the UK and the Indian government. It's the first public-private refinery spread over about 8 kilometers. And it generates about 3% of India's crude oil. And there is a pipeline that goes from Bhatinda to Mundra, 1400 kilometers straight. And that's where things like environmental threats, perimeter security, and all those things came into picture. To the extent that that refinery is protected by the air defense artillery. The 60 kilometers from Bhatinda is the Indo-Pakistan border on a crow fly distance. That is, if I go straight, what we call a crow fly distance. If I go like this in a road, it will take about 100 kilometers, but the straight distance from a flying aircraft is 60 kilometers. So they have put air defense artillery there as a perimeter security. That is the level of security being provided to an oil refinery, because it is of national importance and national interest. And in one shift, 5,500 people work. So if something goes wrong, there is a 2 megawatt power pumping station there, which can pump thousands and thousands of liters of water per minute. And it can go up to 165 meters in height and 200 meters straight. There is a power gun kind of a thing, which you can hold like this and just twist and it will put water everywhere you feel like. So that is the level I'm talking about. Then comes the most important part, technical controls. In technical controls, typically, we look at access control. We know passwords, usernames, two-factor authentications, and all those things are there. Like, for example, if I am accessing my laptop, I would have to go ahead and click on the two-factor authentication. I will get an auto OTP. When I used to work in Nokia, there was three-factor authentication. If I have to access a remote network, say for example, Docomo in Japan, first I will access the network, an email will go to my manager. A code will come to him. He will put a code in his mobile, and from that mobile, one OTP will come to my mobile. That means that three factors have to be covered before I'm able to access a network node. Then comes encryption. I'll just take a very basic view of encryption because encryption is a technical thing. Encryption means if somebody is attacking our data, he is not able to read the data. The data comes with the algorithm. This is my data. In front of the data, there is an algorithm. You would have heard of the word algorithm. We have done in class 6, 7 logs and algorithms. That algorithm makes the data readless. It makes it random. Random typically means if somebody tries to double click and open the data, he will see random characters. He'll not be able to figure out what is the data. And then whatever I do, I log. Like, for example, in banks, there are man-to-machine logs. Whatever activity a person does all the day on the keyboard is logged. That means Mr. X came at 8:30 in the morning. He accessed an account at 9:02. At 9:03, he opened the account details. At 9:04, he updated the check number on the account details. Everything is logged as per RBI rules. What is called the man-to-machine activity. Similarly, in case of telecom, you have heard of a word called lawful interception, where you can intercept a telecom. The police, the CBI, CID, they can intercept phones to figure out if there is any illegal activity going on. For example, there is a kidnapping happened somewhere or a murder happened and there are some suspects. Their phones are put on surveillance and their phones can be heard by the police. That is called lawful interception. So for lawful interception, there has to be a 4-level security. And experts from Israel and Japan are called to write that code, that how it securely, they can listen to the calls and nobody else can listen to the call. Then we have something called malware protection, which is basic antivirus. Now antivirus has become bread and butter. It's available, it's cheap. 80-90 rupees a month, you can buy a subscription. About 1,200 rupees a year is subscription for one good antivirus, McAfee or whichever you want to. Backup. If something goes wrong, from where do I get my data back? There are certain industries in the world which have to have 100% backups. Banking, insurance, telecom, medical. Reason is, can you ever imagine you walk up to HDFC Bank and say, I want my bank account for 3 months. He told, sorry sir, 1 महीने का तो नहीं है हमारे पास. उड़ गया data. Can anybody imagine that? Never, it will never happen. They have a quadruple level replication. Quadruple level replication means if the HDFC Bank in Delhi is a data center, the same data center is replicating data to Kolkata, Hyderabad, Coimbatore, and same data is being going 4 places. So on a bad day, even if 3 places close, which is a very remote chance, still the data is available. Similarly to do with the insurance, similar to do with telecom. Secure development, of course, when I develop something, I write secure codes into it. It is not an open code that anybody can access. It is not a code in which I can go ahead and write any other aspect. If I have written a code, Like for example, Microsoft Office. I was just installing. It's not that somebody else can come and write something and make my word more beautiful or more worse. It is secured. It is a fixed package. Then we come to, vulnerability management. Now, vulnerability means something is weak, can go wrong, weak links in the system. And how do I ensure those weak links are not exposed to the public? Because if you want a 100% foolproof system, it is not possible. Every company will have some vulnerabilities because a foolproof system will require what? Money, machine, material, and technology. And all these cost. So there's a little story behind this vulnerability management. Once what happened, a guy made a house somewhere in Gurgaon on a plot, on an empty piece of land. And after 2 days, he met his friend. And his friend told, the place where you made your house is very vulnerable. There are thieves around there. So apart from the boundary wall, he put barbed wire on his boundary wall. Basic stuff, barbed wiring. Still, he was worried that his friend told that still you are vulnerable. So what he did is, he went ahead and kept a dog. Still, people were kind of trying to trouble him that, see, still things can go wrong. So he put electric fencing. He put electricity inside the bar. Somebody touches the barbed wire, he will get electrocuted. Still, he was worried. He put CCTV, motion sensors. You know, nowadays CCTV come with motion sensors. If there's a CCTV here, if I pass from the CCTV, it will give an alarm to the security guard that somebody has passed from the corridor. What are those motion sensors? Still, he was worried after having all this. So he contacted a consultant like me. I told him, do one thing, you dig a well around your house and put crocodiles. That's the last thing you can do. Nobody will enter your house ever, including you yourself. So there is a limit to what money you can spend in vulnerability management. Something will be risky. Something will be vulnerable in the market. And that is why we guys are sitting to encash on that, to make money out of it, to tell him what can go wrong. Now we come to 22301, that's business continuity management systems, in which I will directly take you to a very important aspect. It's not written here. For the want of time, I could not copy paste the right content here. In business continuity management system, we have something called a critical asset register. Out of 25-30 assets in a company, 6-7 assets are critical, without which we cannot work. Like for example, if you have 1 hour to catch a flight, you will first pack your basics, right? Without which you cannot go to another town. You can leave behind an aftershave lotion, but you cannot leave behind a coat because you have to go for a meeting. Similarly, there are some basics that a company has to work upon. If today we have to work upon basics, we would need internet, we would need water, we would need electricity. These 3 things, right? If we do not get tea, or if we are not able to charge our mobile phones, we can still live with it for a few hours. But electricity is required, internet is required. Similarly, in business continuity management system, we call it a critical asset register. Based on that critical asset register, we do a business impact analysis, BIA. What can go wrong and how will it impact my business? We do a business impact analysis. That means, for example, there is a power outage greater than 8 hours. My generator only has 6 hours of diesel backup. The remaining 2 hours, my UPS will not support. That means it comes under the category of what? Single point of failure. There is one point in the entire chain. If that fails, the entire chain will fail. So what I will do, I will keep a DG of more than 8 hours and a UPS of more than 3 hours. So that I have 12 hours. I have buffer of 2-3 hours. Going by the history of Gurgaon, I will make some measurements in my BIE. Okay, Gurgaon maximum has 4 hours of outage. On a bad day, 6 hours maximum. Data कहाँ से आया? दक्षिण हरियाणा बिजली वितरण निगम का वेबसाइट के ऊपर. Data is available. Outage. I churn the data and I arrive to a figure of 6 hours. I keep a buffer of 2 hours and make it 8 hours. Maximum 8 hours I can survive without any electricity. Then comes the point what I just told a few minutes ago about crocodile. There is a limit to what I can do. I cannot keep 2 generators and 3 UPS with me. It will cost money. So we have to balance out in business impact analysis what we can live with, what we cannot live with. And how we will arrive to that? We will arrive to that from a very basic thing is how do I make money? Whenever I go to an organization, be it consulting, be it auditing, be it training, the first thing I ask them is how do you make money? What is your core business? आप लोग करते क्या हो? If I go to a plant manufacturing plant in maybe Manesar, which is making rims for the cars, which they supply to Volkswagen and Maruti and all these rim बनाते हैं जो लोग. मैंने कहा आप लोग क्या करते हो? बोला सर हम rim बनाते हैं. How do you earn money? By selling those rims, right? इसके ऊपर टायर माउंट होता है. Now what are the key activities that you guys do in order to make that rim? Metal forging वो जाएगा. उसके बाद heating में जाएगा, assembly line में जाएगा और rim निकल के बाहर आ जाएगा. Who are the key people who are doing this? And which is the key machinery which is doing this? And what is supporting this? If you have the answers, you will automatically know your critical asset register. What is my core line? हमारे यहाँ पर हमारा बिजनेस का core line क्या है? हमारे यहाँ पे ट्रेनिंग है, ऑडिटिंग है, सर्टिफिकेशन है, कंसल्टिंग है, और उसको सपोर्ट करने के लिए लोग हैं. So these are my critical assets. See, for example, a consulting company like McKinsey or Boston Consulting Group, which is their most critical asset? People, because they only do consulting. They don't have a product. They don't have a application or a tool. They only have brains. They hire people from MIT, Harvard, IIMs, and all those IITs and all those places, some smart people, and they do consulting and they make money. So if you go and ask them what is your core asset register, first thing he will say is my people. He will not let go of his people. Then in BCMS, if we look at an important thing that comes is business strategy and solution. What finally will be my strategy? I have limited money and time. I cannot do everything to ensure that everything will go right. So I have to have a strategy that to maintain and restore activities, and I will have something like incident response teams, crisis management teams, and communication plan. Who will do what when something goes wrong? In big companies, people are given laminated cards behind their identity card that this is your job during a disaster. Like a network guy will ensure the router firewall is up. The DG guy will ensure adequate diesel is there. The project manager will ensure that the customer is informed that there might be delays in the project because of disaster. Everybody has been given his own communication plan and crisis management procedures. What does he have to do in case of a disaster, in case of a crisis? It is not that only when the fire is there, we will run with a bucket of water. A simple mathematics. Then we go ahead and we look at SOC 2, Trust Services Criteria. This is basically in US. If you are a company which is churning a lot of financial, lot of people and lot of technology data, you have to be SOC 2 compliant. That is nothing but the Trust Services Criteria. In SOC 2, the evaluation is done over a period of 6 months, minimum 3 months, of all these different aspects, which we have just discussed about last 20-30 minutes we've discussed. Same thing, information security policy, risk assessment, logical access controls, secure configuration, logging, incident response, vendor means supplier, employee security awareness training, vulnerability management, what I just told you. And then, of course, these are the controls to which they will adhere to. Why this is done? This is done to ensure that we have covered the maximum ground in terms of security, in terms of service, in terms of organizational controls. And the chances of something going wrong is very less. We cannot have zero probability. Probability will remain, but I have covered the most of the ground. And if I have covered the ground to the extent that my customer is satisfied. So you will see a lot of places where you will get queries from your customers saying that I am participating in an RFP and I want a SOC 2 certificate. I am participating in an RFP and I want an ISO 27001 certificate. Because they make a very clear mandate. Like Indian Railways, they say that you can only supply material to us if you are BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards compliant. Department of Telecom, DOT, says that you will only supply equipment if it is a non-Chinese equipment. You cannot procure from China and you have to give an undertaking to us. So these are all the controls which will ensure that what you are committing to your customer is you are doing is from a certified person. A certified public accountant, a CPA signs a SOC 2 report that all the evidences have been satisfied and I am satisfied with the controls, and an attestation of compliance, what we call in layman's term is AOC, attestation of compliance is given in a SOC 2 requirement. So these are the basics in terms of, then we have something like availability. Availability means what I just talked about: business continuity plan, disaster recovery plan, infrastructure capacity monitoring. How much can I handle? I cannot overcommit and under-deliver. I can only deliver to a certain extent. Today, if the salesperson comes and says that we have to issue 30 certificates in 3 days, we cannot do that. Capacity is limited. We have limited number of auditors, maybe limited number of planning people. So, infrastructure capacity monitoring and uptime monitoring. Uptime monitoring means how much time out of 24 hours am I up and running. There are companies which now claim are 100% redundant, like Apple, Microsoft, and all those kind of people. They say that we are 100% redundant and we will never go down. Although it happened in one of the airlines, I think lately, 2-3 months ago in US, there was some airlines which was grounded for about 2 days, United Airways or something, I think, where Google Cloud was down and the best engineers of Google could not rectify it within 2 days. Finally, an Indian did something. I knew he did a shortcut, but that's what Indians are famous for. He at least started the work back smartly. So now we come to, I will not give too much of bombardment of knowledge in one day because we can have 2 sessions. Because we have to absorb this also. Too much of technology also is not easy to absorb, because what I am speaking out of whatever 22 years of experience, and I don't expect everybody to have the same level of experience, and the terminology that I am using, you might not be regularly used to it. So we now look at something like processing integrity. We process a data, how integral it is. I mean, is it right? Is it the way it should be? And is it solving the purpose or not? This is somewhat touching to privacy management. Privacy management is a private data of a living individual, which if leaked can lead to consequences. There are three categories of data: public data, private data, sensitive / confidential data. The first data is public data. Mayank Malik, available in public space. Where I work, available in public space. Where I live, to an extent available in public space. But my Aadhaar card number is sensitive. My biometric information is sensitive. My medical history is sensitive. So those are the kind of sensitive data that are there. Before Microsoft hires somebody, I will show you in my personal laptop, there is a list. One of my friends got hired in Microsoft. There is 134 different attributes that Microsoft collects about you before hiring. That means nothing is left unknown about you. You can't be hired if you do not provide those 134 sets of information in the HR form, including things like if you have done any military service, have you been part of any secret service organization, have you ever participated in anti-national activities, have you ever been part of any political organization or a student organization, have you ever led any protests against the government, have you ever traveled to countries like Sudan, Syria, Libya, Oman, and other war countries like Cameroon, Nigeria, or Congo, or all these places. Have you ever been exposed to a country which has yellow fever or COVID or smallpox? These are the kind of information they want before hiring. Although I find it a little strange that this kind of information, if they take and still a person falls ill, they cannot do much about it, but that's the way they are. So now we move from privacy, we move typically to things like PCI DSS, payment card industry. Now in payment card industry, the most important thing is data at transit. Always data transits between 2 points. Financial data means what? The data on my card that is there, the magnetic strip. When I swipe that from the EDC machine, it goes to the nearest payment gateway. The merchant gets a response back from the payment gateway, card approved, and a slip comes out. But that data is going through public internet. And if the data is going through public internet, then of course, we would have to have some kind of a security. So firewalls, network segmentation, isolate cardholder data, secure inbound and outbound, incoming and outgoing traffic of internet has to be secured through HTTPS, through virtual private networks, VPNs, through IPsec tunnels. These are all technical stuff. Hardened system configurations. These are PCI DSS is mandatory certification for all payment gateway providers and for all third-party providers who provide UPI, who provide banking services, who provide any kind of financial services, or any kind of e-commerce. E-commerce means website-based card transactions. They have to take a PCI DSS certification. I never buy from a website if I don't scroll down and see at the bottom what certifications do they have. Because the government cannot impose rules on everybody. So there are websites which are operating e-commerce website without even PCI DSS 27001. That's a very big market that you guys can think to capture, because e-commerce is more, I would say, fast moving than the normal commerce. Yes, the government has exempted shops from getting PCI DSS certified because shops are only using the machines. But the companies providing the machines of EDC swipe machines, they should be PCI DSS certified. So this is the kind of time I wanted to go ahead and spend with you today, understanding it from the perspective of how this 1 hour went. And so any questions until now from anybody, anything that you would want to know more, or yeah.
I want to know,
SOC.
there are types, like type of...
See, SOC type 2 is over a period of time, and SOC type 1 is at a point of time. Evidence is at point of time available. And SOC 2 normally is spread through 3 to 6 months data. SOC 1 is when we go and we immediately, like a 27,000 audit, show me right now what is it. That is the difference between SOC 1 and SOC 2. And the most important aspect of SOC 2 is that it analyzes data historically as well as current, whereas SOC 1 only analyzes current. Like for example, I go to a bank and I tell them that please show me today's transactions for your payments. They will show me 20 transactions. I will ask them to show me the log behind the transactions. They will show me the logs. I will tell them, show me the antivirus in your person's laptop who's using the banking software. They will show me that. That is SOC 1. I will ask them that show me 6 months of your secured payment transactions over credit cards sent to Australia or New Zealand. I will pick up a sample. And then they will show me 6 months of data. If I am satisfied that all 6 months of data is as per the requirements of encryption, logging, monitoring, only then I will give them a SOC 2 certificate. If there is some discrepancy, then I will give them a non-conformance. SOC 1 I told is at a point of time. हम कभी भी audit कर सकते हैं, उस time audit कर सकते हैं. Real time data.
Can you please give full information regarding SOC? SOC is like system.
Controls, yeah.
Yeah, like
It's used by banks.
this understanding layman language. What SOC?
See, SOC, I will just pull up another file. I'll just show you a slide if it is there. Let me just see, because if this laptop has that slide.
SOC is a report, a file.
Yeah, SOC is a report system.
So majority of the are there is 27.
Only 30% controls are there, 70% are different.
Advanced version.
That's a very advanced version. Let me show you.
Currently used by the. Is there any difference?
It comes under IT. Finance is just an aspect of it. Sorry, I'm a little bad at Mac, so I am not being able to download the. So these are the kind of controls. Okay, no, this is still a very small file. I would want to show you a elaborate one. Just give me a. Yes, this is good. This is a SOC 2 report, SOC 2 type 2. So how do I zoom it? I'm bad at Mac. Is it readable?
Yes.
Yeah. So you see, I will straight away come to the controls first. This is just the narration. So these are the what I asked. What I told, core line of business. This is what these guys do. They have explained what they do. Name of the company is Rocketium or whatever. This is what they do. They do Rocketium SaaS application. They identity access management for AWS, Azure, GCP, GCP firewalls, Google Workspaces. Where is the physical location? Europe, USA, India. This is what I just told you is, what do they do? What is their core line of business? What are their activities, which you ask before any audit. So once you go ahead and we look at this is the minimum number of policies that these people will be asked for, which is I'm just highlighting it here like this one. So these are the policies: code of business conduct, change management, data retention, data backup, information security, vendor risk, password, media disposal, incident management, endpoint means laptop, endpoint security, encryption, disaster recovery, data classification. But there are more than 200 controls which a SOC 2 report has. I will take it to the controls. Each control is like this. Complementary subservice organizational controls called the CSOC. This is the control description. What a control looks like. Logical access to underlying network and virtualization of management software for the cloud is appropriate. This is the question I'm asking the guy. Is it appropriate or not? Under what category? Under AWS GCP. So this is very long report, about 250 pages. You see all these. This is the criteria. This is the control number, and this is the activity that these guys have specified what we are doing to control the risk in the particular area. This is an ongoing report. This report is more than 200 pages. So this is the kind of SOC 2 that we look at. Then what will happen is testing procedures performed by independent service auditor, that is we people, and then we will write here results of the test. No exceptions noted. Or is there any exceptions that we have noted? Is there any shortcoming, any shortfall in the system? If there is a major shortfall, then they are given time, maybe 1 month, 2 months to rectify it. If they say we will not be able to rectify it and we are able to accept that risk, it is up to discretion of the CPA to sign the SOC 2 report or not. The SOC 2 report cannot be just signed blindly. There is some element of unethical work happening in the market with some CPAs of small time places signing SOC 2 reports without looking at the reports. Some incidents have come. Some CPAs have lost their license also to sign reports. So it's a very thin line between doing it the right way and doing it the shorter way. Yeah, anything else?
There is some mentions that being performed by independent service auditors. Is there any education qualification required?
Normally, a background of IT with about 8 to 12 years of experience is what minimum the SOC 2 requirement says, or maybe 6 to 10 years of experience, in which you have a fair idea of, say, what we have just gone through: risk management, technology risks, access management, backup, restoration, change management, incident management, disaster recovery, encryption, all these things. You should have a fair idea that what is what. And how will you dig out the evidence? If the guy says we have got effective incident management process, you see the process, then what will you do? Ask him for 3 critical incidents in the last 1 year. He shows you 3 incidents. Tell him that what has been a corrective action, what has been a root cause analysis, and how will you ensure it doesn't happen again? Preventive action. Although preventive action is now clubbed with corrective action, from the ISO standpoint, there is no preventive action. It's only corrective action as of now. But This is how. Say, for example, you ask backup restoration results, and you see in the results there is one backup failure. One backup did not happen automatically. They had to manually backup it. Then you will ask him that how will you ensure that next time it does not happen again? And how will you know this? Only if you have worked on backups or if you have worked on some kind of a technology platform. So that is how the SOC operates. The average experience is about anything between 8 to 12 years to become an independent SOC auditor.
See, so itself is very huge. Why company are opting for 27,000? If you are saying that only covering 30% of the country.
Yeah.
Why there is a
See, SOC is a requirement in US and Europe and India to do business with European and US companies.
hate?
So, for example, if you are dealing with, you are processing insurance applications in India. In US, the manpower is costly. If I fill up an insurance application, what they do is the application comes to India. The guy accesses from his laptop and sees his name, address, medical history, and all those things, and signs up a proposal for the medical premium. The guy pays the premium. The payment is processed in India, and this guy is issued a medical policy in US. That means what? Only sales is happening in US. 80% of the work is happening in India. But the US company, before outsourcing the work to the Indian company, will ask for a SOC 2 certificate to ensure that these controls are adhered to.
It is coming like कि इंडिया वाले जो हैं उनके लिए भी होने लगता है ऐसा कुछ.
हो गया है, बहुत लोग मांग रहे हैं. Lot of like LIC is an Indian insurance company. They want SOC 2 certificate from their vendors.
Is it meant?
In the RFP it is mentioned. जो RFP आती है उसमें mentioned होता है, तो आप RFP participate ही नहीं कर पाओगे अगर आपके पास certificate नहीं है तो. So this is the first set of information I have given you. You have to digest this. What I will also do is I will share some documents, some very basic documents with you for PDF and Word documents and PPTs, which you can, at your leisure, you can learn. Second is, I would recommend if you are interested in learning about any technology, it's very cheaply available on Udemy. You know about Udemy, right? 400 rupees का course है, 4 घंटे 6 घंटे का. If you're interested, you can do it with your personal expense. It's a very good investment. I have learned a lot of things through that place, and there are very good experts. There are hands-on guys who come and deliver lecture. There is a guy who is like working with Amazon for 12 years. So he comes and delivers the lecture. So he is giving his real-time hands-on experience. And you can start off with keywords like AWS for beginners. So you will get a 2-hour lecture for 99 rupees. It will start from basic, the very scratch. What is AWS? What is cloud? What are types of model? SaaS model, IaaS, infrastructure as a model, platform as a model. What is difference between software as a service? So it will take you on very basics. And then maybe after 1 or 2 or 3 weeks, you can again subscribe to some other course, intermediate level course. Because I'm not a social marketing I don't even have a Facebook account as a matter of fact. And no Instagram also. So I only believe in personally meeting people. I believe that is a more important form of communication than rubbing shoulders on Facebook and Instagram and all those kind of things. So any other question? Or is it too much of knowledge? So too much of knowledge, okay. Too much of knowledge.